A time like this one, when everybody has been silenced, it's only the church that can speak for us. Wabunge wetu walidanganywa ati shida ya Kenya ni Rigathi Gachagua. Ati yakitolewa barabara zitajengwa. Zimejengwa sasa.
The Mountain Pride has uncovered the truth about their former political ally, igniting a burning desire for retribution.
People may not love Gachagua, but they use the impeachment as a trigger. Why did you impeach our people?
The former deputy president has been confronting a man who he once shared a party and a government with.
Ile shida lifanya mimi nakosana na William Ruto ni kujaribu kugawanya Mount Kenya into two. Na nikamwambia haiwezekani.
Gachagua fears for his own political career. Ruto, his former boss, banished him. And now he has been working to gather allies and build support while navigating the political wilderness.
Mtu alidanganya sisi na Biblia. Na munajua alitudanganya. Anaita nyinyi tena anadanganya nyinyi. Munapiga ndugu yenu. Sasa muko na shida na hawa. Mutaonana na hii watu.
Revenge boils in his blood.
Na ndio mimi nilipata matatizo pale kwa serikali kwa sababu mimi mtu ya ukweli. Na wale ni watu ya uongo.
But survival comes first.
Tukikubali kugawanywa, tumeisha.
You know, it would be one thing if Gachagua was a good and clean person. Then actually he'd have been the winner because everyone would see that a corrupt government is kicking out. Let's say he was like Wangari Maathai, but he's not.
Every territory has its own king, and the former DP now thinks he can rule over the mountain and gain some political muscles for future endeavors. But how did things get here for the man christened Rigathi? Just a few months ago, he was Kenya's second in command and only a step away from the house on the hill.
He forgot that the fact that they were together on the ticket does not mean that they are equal. There is only one president.
In May 2024, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua vanished from the public eye. No media briefings, no church gatherings, no public engagements. His absence was deafening. Where is the deputy president? Blurred headlines across TV screens and newspaper front pages. When he emerged again, he was a different man entirely. Everything had shifted and nothing remained as it once was.
Ale nyinyi wazee ya Wakalenjin, msaidie rais to manage things in this region. Nyinyi ni wazee.
The certainty he once felt about his position by the president's side had vanished.
Pahali iko wazee, mchunge maneno, so that you make sure that people are responsible and the Rift Valley region does not become the theater ya kukoroga serikali yetu na kulete maneno ambaye haifai.
The privilege of accessing police and military helicopters was no longer his to claim. He worried about certain members of his own tribe, fully aware of their sway over others.
Sasa iko wengine mumeshikana hapa Rift Valley na wana vijana wengine huko kwetu ati wanapanga siasa ya 2032. Nyinyi mnataka kumrithi Rais William Ruto akiwa hai.
Their thoughts and actions would ultimately determine whether he maintained his footing or tumbled from grace.
Tunaomba heshima kidogo. Musijaribu kutupangia siasa ya Mlima Kenya na kutupangia uongozi wa Mlima Kenya. Nyinyi mupange siasa yenu na uongozi wenu. Siku Rais William Ruto atastaafu after 10 years. Sisi hatutaingilia vile mnataka kupanga, nyinyi mtapanga wenyewe. Siasa huko kwetu hamwezani nayo, ni ngumu sana. Huko ya mlima ni ngumu sana. The politics of the mountain is so complicated, it can only be understood by the mountaineers.
That acknowledgement of being a king, the leader of the region, he struggled very hard to insist that people must acknowledge him as the leader.
Is it a time when Rigathi Gachagua knew that his goose had been cooked?
From the point there were rumors that there is an impeachment.
You're serious?
Yes, that is the time I knew he's going. I was comfortably writing about it. The moment there was a rumor, not even the time we presented before Parliament, the moment there was a rumor that Gachagua is going home, then we knew he's going. Because we know this guy is hated.
Kenya is far from being a political garden of Eden.
Ama mnasemaje Kanairo?
In this arena, the timid gain nothing.
Siku rais alitaka kuruka hiyo deal, tukamwambia utaruka peke yako.
They are devoured whole. Gachagua picked up this lesson firsthand from William Ruto during his tenure as Uhuru Kenyatta's deputy.
Na sisi hatuendi bahari, lazima tujue vile tutaishi pamoja.
But the question remains, will he endure the storm as Ruto once did? After a few weeks, harmony appears to return between Ruto and Rigathi, with Gachagua once again granted access to military and police air transportation. But they say you should be most wary of someone who laughs along but never reins in their barking dogs.
There is no accident in Kenyan politics. Why was Rigathi Gachagua chosen to be a deputy president? Qualifications? Kingpinship? No. He was chosen because he was disposable. You cannot say you buy a disposable cup with your coffee. Once the coffee is over, the cup is disposed. Was Rigathi Gachagua ever supposed to be permanent?
Bichachi is a political analyst and a communication expert. He says this is merely a pause before what lies ahead. According to him, Ruto and his relentless forces are biding their time, ready to pounce at the perfect moment.
If you want to understand what is happening, when the dogs attack, the man sits proper. That fight is beneath the president.
So who are the dogs? I want to know who are the dogs.
Didimas Baraza has attacked the deputy president. Sudi has attacked the deputy president. Didi Nyoro, come on. You want to tell me all these people just felt the Holy Spirit come upon them and they all decided to attack one person?
Having a steadfast deputy is crucial for him to fully consolidate power within his administration.
So Gachagua started showing his discontent and resentment too early. Yes, you love some people, this tender has gone to this company, it was supposed to go to Rigathi's company. Those are always there in any government. And Ruto faced it, but he kept quiet because he knew what he wants. And he could not achieve that until he is in that government. So Rigathi could just have gone quiet, get his salary. He had some good money for operations at the office of the deputy president, and get his small networks, hata kuzungusha hata kahawa, katanda kadogo ya kahawa, anashukuru Mungu. So, kingine anashukuru. Akienda for 10 years or 5 years, he could have had now the guts to come and fight.
You want to tell me that some of the fights that you've seen
in government, especially in the executive, revolve around tender?
Always. It's all about tender. They'll not come on tell on the television that Oscar Sudi has taken my tender. They'll not say. It is something that is just here, kinyongo. Kunyonga. But now, mtu akitoboa in a small corner in a room, the two of you, he'll say, you'll hear those,
You said something.
There are always tenders, government tender, under the big ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ruto is aware that Gachagua's support is limited mostly to the mountain region. Yet he seeks to extract whatever assistance his deputy can muster, no matter how small.
Aliyesamehewa na aliyesaidiwa wakati aliteswa si muhula wa kwanza, ni muhula wa pili wa 2017 mpaka 2022. Tafadhali asiguze mtoto yetu ya mlima anaitwa Rigathi Gachagua, hana deni ya mtu. Uliambia wenye walikuwa na impeachment ya Gachagua that hiyo maneno hutaki kusikia, na ikome na ikakoma. Meaning these are your people, na ukiwaambia wanawacha. Does it mean sahi tena kuna genge ingine ikiongozwa na the leader of majority yenye umeamusha ndio sasa iende ikisema Gachagua ni tribalist, Gachagua ako hivi, Gachagua ako vile? Bas, ongea.
Tangu mtupatie nafasi ya uongozi, sijapata nafasi ya kuja kusema asanti.
How did Gachagua restrict his own power despite holding a position of significant influence?
No, even today he doesn't have it.
According to Professor Macharia Munene, it all traces back to September 13th, 2022, the day of inauguration. In targeting the outgoing president, Gachagua began to amass more political foes than supporters.
It became a crime in this country to be afraid of William Ruto. It is only that it was not put in the penal code.
So he showed some immaturity. Did not have a sense of proportion, a sense of the occasion. Because maturity requires you know what the occasion is and what you can or cannot say or do. He did not seem to know that.
Poor people will never again be evicted in brutal evictions by state agencies. And I say, freedom is here. Let every Kenyan be prepared to work hard.
Let's look at it. The inauguration has gone. Rigathi Gachagua is in office as the deputy president. William Ruto is the president. Because what you are alluding to is how Rigathi Gachagua shot himself in the foot. Did he continue?
Yes, he continued in different ways. Apart from the mess on the inauguration day, he had a big ambition and he did not know how to go about it. See, apart from beating Uhuru his one down, he also wanted to replace Uhuru in Mount Kenya as the acknowledged titular head.
Let's say the kingpin.
Yeah, the mountain people don't have kings.
Gachagua is a novice compared to his more experienced boss. Before becoming the country's second in command, he had only served for a single term as Mathira Member of Parliament. The promise of one day rising to the very top drew him in. But now, the murky waters of Kenyan politics have him trapped.
Hii mzee akitendawili amenikuta kwa mazishi hapo juzi. Hapo Nyandarua. Akaniambia, wewe, kwa nini hutaki mazungumzo? Kwani unaogopa mazungumzo? Wewe kubali tuzungumuze. Mimi nikaamuka na kumwambia mimi siogopi mazungumzo, ile mtu naogopa ni wewe. Kwa sababu pahali yote umeenda umeharibu. Ulikuwa kwa Moi ukaharibu. Ukakuwa kwa Kibaki ukaharibu. Umechukua mtoto wetu Uhuru Kenyatta umekoroga yeye umemchanganya amepotea. Sasa tunaona ukikaribia William Ruto atapotea.
He couldn't care less about stepping on political toes.
Juzi nimetoka nimeenda ngamo nimeenda Italy. Wanajaribu kupitia huko. Nikaitwa nikarudi haraka. Kwa sababu pale unajua kazi yangu pale ni rahisi sana. Mimi kazi yangu ni kuchunga Rais William Ruto na mimi sina kazi nyingine. That is my work. Nikiona mtu yoyote anaweza tatiza serikali yake, hiyo ni kazi yangu kung'ang'ana na hiyo mtu. Na huyu kitendawili historia yake ni mbaya. Ama mnataka nimkubalie? Nimkubalie akaribia rais?
At this stage, he believes he's captured Ruto's full attention, convinced that nothing can stand in his way.
Sasa mimi naenda Colombia kutafuta soko ya kahawa, alafu nipite Cuba. Lakini nimepanga. Hiyo ikulu nimeweka mitego kila kona, kila bahali nimeweka na niko na watu wa kunipigia simu. Wakionekana tu karibu naambiwa. Kwa sababu uwezi mtu ameharibu serikali 4 umkubalie akuje ya 5. Si ataharibu.
However, the president is a shrewd and calculating politician.
A number of people try to advise him, whether you like it or not. Ruto and Raila are going to get together. Even when he was saying about putting traps in, people said, what are you talking about? Those people who have studied these things very well, and they knew Raila and they knew Ruto, say these people are going to get together and you are going to be sacrificed.
Why did William Ruto settle on Rigathi Gachagua? Because from the understanding we had at that time, a majority of members of parliament wanted Kindiki from the word go. But it was William Ruto. It was William Ruto himself who said it's Rigathi Gachagua. And actually, he imposed Rigathi Gachagua.
You know the answer? You know the answer? Well, I can't go into too much detail on camera, but everybody knows that the persecution of Deputy President Ruto at the time by his boss Uhuru and Fred Matiang'i at Interior saw a lot of his resources dwindling.
Now things were going down.
Yeah, his resources were, strangled. Exactly. Yeah. So it's Gachagua who provided a lot of support, and in good cheer and in good standing, kurudisha mkono. DP Ruto at the time wanted to be loyal, to demonstrate loyalty and gratitude. And so against the public wish and majority of MPs present, he picked Rigathi Gachagua.
He talked about...
Wrongfully therefore, because that's what you're not going to say he gave me money. Wrongfully therefore, Gachagua felt, because you're such a novice, because you're so incompetent, Gachagua felt therefore that he got elected. 7 million people who voted for the president voted for him. So he construed that the wrong way, and he felt extremely entitled. This was what finished him.
We are peaceful. We are very peaceful. We are fighting for your right. We are not armed. We are not.
June 18th, 2024. Kenyan young protesters pour onto the streets of Nairobi City, the country's capital, and other major cities and towns to express their disappointment with the government of President William Ruto. Protests sparked by rising unemployment, inflation, and the perception of unfulfilled promises by President William Ruto's government.
We are fighting for ourselves because our future is in our own hands. If at all we let them direct us on how we're going to on how they're going to direct in this country, it's going to be war unto us, and we're not going to let that happen.
The government, aided by the National Intelligence Service (NIS), ramped up its efforts to track down the financial backers,
and then start looking for who is to blame. Okay, So Mwaura, the spokesman, told us it was the Russians.
The president himself?
The president told us it is the American Ford Foundation. And then later on we start hearing maybe it is Uhuru, or maybe it's Gachagua, maybe it is a lot of maybes.
Leaders and government officials with ties to DP Gachagua would be implicated in the violence that followed, potentially worsening the already strained relations between President Ruto and his deputy. The NIS had informed the president that his deputy had a case to answer as far as the violence that followed the protest were concerned. Through his associate, it was alleged that the DPE had financially supported thugs who had secretly joined the Gen Z protests, which had originally started off peacefully.
Today, Kenya experienced an unprecedented attack on its democracy, rule of law, and the integrity of its constitutional institutions.
We gave you the entry, we are going to show you the exit. Mr. President! Mr. President, watch us!
Knowing what the intelligence service had relayed to his boss, Gachagua took the initiative and launched an attack, directing his strikes at the security agency.
Had the National Intelligence Service briefed the president 2 months ago about how the people of Kenya feel about the Finance Bill 2024, so many Kenyans would not have died. Property would not have been destroyed. Offices would not have been touched. There would have been no mayhem. But they slept on the job.
We do not know what had told the consumers.
The National Security Council.
Yeah, we don't know. So for Gachagua to come and say he did not do that, then questions come, is he privy to some other information that's not available to the right channel?
Since independence, there has been protesting around Parliament. Never have protesters invaded and gotten inside Parliament.
So for him to say that there was that failure, it's a very serious allegation. A big one. And he did not provide the evidence to say that that had happened. Maybe he talked to the president, maybe. And the president maybe told him, I did not know these things. If the president told Gachagua that he did not know that this was coming, because he had not been told, he had not been given, that one we do not know. But I think it was a mistake to blame NIS or failure to brief the president and the Security Council properly. I think that was a mistake on his part. Yeah, and that just added to the. I think one of the accusations was that he was breaching what? The oath of office? That's something like that. It's so secret.
You know, there's what we call the 48 laws of power. I think he has never come across any one of those laws. Or he doesn't bother. Hata ukimpeleka umwambie law number 1, do not outshine your boss. He doesn't know it exists. He doesn't care. I say he behaves like a guerrilla fighter. There's no books in the forest. You just come, ndakudunga na kitu tumalizana. There's something called timing. Even me, if people come here and tell me, Caleb, we want you to vie for president, I listen to it, I say, yes, thank you very much. Then I'll wait for the right time. If people come to me and say, we want you to vie for governor, I say, thank you very much for having faith in me. They'll not just come tell me, we want you to vie for president. Then I start announcing at the KICC, come, Sikoli, come with your cameras. You want to bring down Ruto's regime. No.
The bond between the president and his deputy was now beyond mending. Ruto is more determined than ever to see Gachagua removed from power. However, to achieve this, he requires backing and understands who to turn to for help. No, not Uhuru Kenyatta, the former president of Kenya and his former ally. Their relationship ended on a sour note. Yes, Raila Odinga, his political adversary and once a close ally. After all, Odinga had previously allied himself with past presidents just after elections. After the 1997 elections, he teamed up with President Daniel Arap Moi. Then with President Mwai Kibaki following the 2007 elections. And once again with Uhuru Kenyatta after the 2017 presidential race. And just as he had expected, the former Prime Minister accepted Ruto's bid.
Jadi makonya ruako President William Ruto. Tingane urubadumalo. Tingane urubadumalo.
Munakubali tuungane jameni? Munakubali tushirikiane? Munakubali tufanye kazi pamoja? Mwingine akasema ati anaweka mitego. Tukamwambia mitego utajitega mwenyewe sababu huwezi kutega baba.
In exchange for support, William Ruto promised to campaign for Odinga's bid to become the chair of the African Union Commission.
Sasa mmesema baba aende AU. Baba aende AU. Awe kiongozi wa Afrika mzima. 2025 ni ile mwaka. Ile mwaka baba atakuwa chairman wa Africa Union Commission.
Rigiji knows the dangers of Odinga joining forces with the man on the throne.
Unajua nyinyi watu ya Kodele, hapo mbeleni halikuwa tunaelewana vizuri. Na shida yetu na nyinyi ilikuwa tu kidogo. Na sasa tumetatua.
At this point in time, Gachagua realizes he's already in deep trouble.
Unajua sisi watu wa pale kwetu, Rais wa 4 Uhuru Kenyatta alikuwa ametuambia baba ni mtu mzuri. Tukabishana na yeye. Huyu rais wetu amekuja amesema baba ni mtu mzuri. Sasa marais wawili wakisema baba ni mzuri, mimi naweza kupinga? Naweza kupinga? Hata mimi nasema baba ako sawa. Rais, ni kuhakikishia nikiwa hapa Kirinyaga, sisi watu ya Mount Kenya, hii ni serikali yetu. Sisi tuliamuka mapema tukainvest kwa serikali ya President William Ruto. Nimesikia viongozi wengine wamepotea wakisema ate sisi hatuwezi toka kwa serikali. Sisi tutoke kwa serikali tuende wapi? Hii ni serikali yetu.
He tries to galvanize the Mount Kenya region, his political backyard, and hope for survival.
And why to aya.
Rigathi si flower girl. Na Rigathi si kibaraka ya mtu. Rigathi yako na wenyewe. Na yeye tunampenda alivyo hata akiwa villager.
For Raila Odinga and his ODM brigade, this is the moment they have been waiting for.
The reason why Gachagua went down is because of the politics of shareholding and nothing else. The moment he started lethal attacking people on tribal lines and saying you have no shares in this government, that is the moment now the people from Northeastern thought that we are not part of this government. That is the moment the people of Coast thought that we are not part of this government. That's the moment Luyas thought that we are not part of this government.
They agreed to work together with MPs loyal to President William Ruto. Their mission to bring down the deputy president.
Gachagua's mouth brought him down. His own mouth brought him down. Whether he was set up, whether it is an inherent character in him, his own mouth brought him down. Otherwise, he could have survived. He could have talked to lawyers. He could have talked to Central. He could have talked to Coast and the Northeastern. And he would have survived. He had no mistake.
To survive, a skillful defense is required from the man christened Rigathi. Odinga and Ruto have taught their troops how to attack and make a kill. They must execute the plan or they will starve. There is no escape for the deputy president, it seems.
Hatuna biashara na watu ambao hawana mpango yoyote.
Riz Kristo, the president, no longer wants him in his den.
He doesn't understand anything.
And Odinga has his back. The same cannot be said of Rigathi Gachagua. He has long been isolated and deserted. Thrown away from the hustler home he helped build. Some say he had only been seduced before the presidential contest because of the abundance of political influence his region commands.
Rigathi has been put on trial. The crime he has committed is a crime of bringing the people of the mountain together so that we can be able to lobby for development in our areas.
But with stubborn resistance, Gachagua is determined to fight back and save his political career.
Kila mtu afanye kazi yake. Rais apewe nafasi afanye kazi yake. Deputy President apewe nafasi afanye kazi yake.
For the legislators and politicians in his camp, it is all an adventure.
Ukimuona mtu akikwambia ati tutafute kiongozi mwingine wa mulima na tuko na Rigathi Gachagua, mwambie rudi nyuma. Sababu sisi tuliamuka asubuhi na mapema, tukachagua Rigathi na tukamchagua rais na kura 7 million kura, si ndio?
And we want to beseech our brother Kindiki, please remain the gentleman you have always been and desist any attempt by hungry hyenas and greedy members of parliament led by Kimani Waisongwa. Kataa mwito ya tumbo na siasa za tumbo za kuuza jamii yetu. Si unajua iko watu hapa wanamwangalia wanamdharau. Unajua yeye ni villager, yeye ni mtu ya kijiji kama nyinyi. Haelewi maneno sana. Sasa anachukiwa, anaambiwa Nairobi, hii mtu ya kijiji akwende nyumbani, sisi tuletewe profesa. Profesa ni wetu na hii Rigathi villager ni yetu. Sisi maneno yetu kule nyumbani tutapanga ikae mzuri. Ikikuwa mzuri tukutane na nyinyi North Rift, South Rift ikae mzuri. Kingpin ni mmoja anaitwa William Ruto. Kingpin wetu kule anaitwa Rigathi Gachagua.
Lakini hii maiki ndio sumu. Kwa sababu vitu umeongea leo ni mzuri. Vitu uliongea last week ni tofauti. Kitu unaongea mchana, ongea pia usiku.
At this point, Gachagua wants to be seen as a leader, hunter and a fighter.
Tunaomba kelele ipunguzwe, tupunguze matusi, tupunguze kiburi, tuache kujipiga kifua.
But he does not yet understand the dangers.
That acknowledgement of being a king, the leader of the region, he struggled very hard to insist that people must acknowledge him as the leader. And his reason was spurious. It's because he's number 2 and the highest ranking person from the mountain in government. You have to acknowledge him as the leader. And then forgetting that people are looking at something beyond the position that he has. Is he really a leader? Does he display maturity? Does he show the way? Or he's bullying his way? And instead of showing the way, he appeared to be bullying his way.
Actually, some people are calling him a bully.
Well, he appeared to behave that way. And being the bully that he appeared to be, he seemingly was not very good at listening to advice.
Baba na Ruto waendelee wasiendelee.
His political enemies have gathered and they are tougher than he knows.
Ameunda serikali ya umoja, ile ya broad-based government. Sio ni kweli? Kwa hiyo serikali aliyekuwa minority leader Opiyo Wandayi sasa ni waziri wa energy. Aliyekuwa chairman wa ODM John Badi pesa inalala hapa Nyanza. Kweli si kweli? Si ndiye waziri wa finance? Kwa hiyo serikali, Mheshimiwa Rais, nataka nikupongeze wewe na baba, because you have shown the people of Kenya that you are indeed true leaders.
Honorable Speaker, an impeachment motion has been rushed to the National Assembly after garnering more than the legally required signatures for his ouster.
President focused on those.
We must send Rigathi Gachagua home today. To end divisive politics in our country, Rigathi must. To end the culture of impunity, conflict of interest, abuse of office, state capture, and corruption in high office, Rigathi must. For accountability, for there to be integrity in the political governance of our country, Rigathi Gachagua must.
We have had a problem, a huge problem, of monies being diverted to the said hotel in Kilifi. Last year, the money that was supposed to be going to distribute fertilizer, 53 million shillings, Mr. Speaker, was diverted to go to personal use at a hotel.
Despite the hovering dark cloud, he puts on a brave face, ready to face his fears. In the National Assembly, he takes on his adversaries.
President William Ruto, my boss, and I have been calling out senior government officials when they fall short of expectation. Director General of the National Intelligence Service is no exception. He's not above the law. He's accountable to the people of Kenya for his performance. And I have had an argument that we should not call out those in the security sector. I would like you to play the next video.
We have the most incompetent Inspector General of Police, I think, in the world. The most incompetent in the whole world. His incompetence may not necessarily play out when things are working, but when things get to a head and you need some decisions to be made, I can tell you for sure, the gentleman we have as an IG cannot make any decision.
Nataka tumwambie ule mtu wa sinema mingi anaitwa nani ule mtu? Ule sijui anaitwa DCI, ule anaitwa nini? Ule mtu anaitwa Kinoti. Awache ujinga. Huyo bwana Kiboti awache ujinga. Sio kama tunaelewana. Huyo Kinoti hakuna kitu amefanya kwa hii Kenya ya kisiasa. Yeye ni mtu ya sinema. Anaendesha makesi kwa magazeti. Anatuandikia barua, sijui barua ya kilomita ngapi. Mr. Kinoti, please save your time. Stop writing to us long letters. Leave matters of elections to IEBC.
Honorable members, that was President William Ruto as Deputy President criticizing IG Mutiabai, DCI Kinoti. Rigathi Gachagua has learned his job from his boss, that public officers must be caught to order when they fell short of expectation. And I never saw anybody bring William Ruto here for impeachment or criticizing the IG or the DCI. This is a very unfair allegation.
But his actions are nothing more than the final desperate thrashes of a fading creature.
He said that he had learned from his boss.
How can you compare yourself with your boss when your boss is calling out the Inspector General of Police in the 10th year of his term, and you're in the second year of your term. William Ruto was calling out, who was the Kamba guy called? Mutiambai.
Mutiambai, yes.
In 2022.
Almost to the election.
A month later, William Ruto was president. How can you compare yourself in the second year of deputy president?
Changamwe, Omar Mwinyi, Chebalungu, Victor Kipngetich Koech, Cherangani, Patrick Simiyu Barasa.
By the conclusion of the debate, MPs delivered an overwhelming vote in favor of his removal.
Chesume, Paul Biego, Chuka Iganga Ngombe, Patrick Ntuega Munene.
We are witnessing a situation where the Makanga wants to take the steering by force.
According to the results of the division on the motion that I've just declared, a total of 281 members, being more than 2/3 of the members of the National Assembly, have voted in support of the motion.
That was purely political process. It was not because Gachagua did anything wrong. No, it was because Gachagua's political pronouncement. And now he faced a political solution to his pronouncement.
But what, from where you sit, was there a problem between him and his boss?
Whether there was a problem is neither here or there, and it was not our business. Whether they had a problem, there is an issue, that is their own. We were paying for his blood anyway. In fact, we were paying for the blood of both. So because now one was brought to us, it was easy.
When you listen to Mr. Mutuse,
the baton will be handed over to the senators.
Questions. He was saying this is just a prima facie. I'm not a lawyer. I googled, and it says prima facie says on first sight.
This is supposed to be a house of reason, a trial house. And yes, they listened to his legal team.
I'm not going to impeach the deputy president, because listening to the accusation here, they are not enough. They do not meet the threshold of removing somebody from the office. You ask Mutuse here, you had it. Mr. Mutuse, tell us. He says, I was not in an investigation journey. Mr. Mutuse, I just imagine. Mr. Mutuse, I don't know. Mr. Mutuse.
Like, for example, on the grounds for renovation of the office of the deputy president, the funds were appropriated by the National Assembly. Yet the same National Assembly is accusing the deputy president, who is not even an accountant. The accountant is a different person, Mr. Speaker. Or even on the Kemsa issue, on the bully, in the grounds that they have been set, Mr. Speaker, they are saying that the deputy president bullied Kemsa, Mr. Speaker, but there is no proof.
The threshold legally under the courts are a bit higher than what was happening in Parliament. Yeah. Because in Parliament it came finally to the vote. You saw my reservations unanswered when I rose to speak about the motion. There were many reservations, like the issue of inheritance, like the issue of threshold constitutional, like one or two issues that came up. But the point I'm trying to make, the disadvantage, it comes back to the voting.
But Gachagua understood that this was a carefully orchestrated suspense drama with a single inevitable conclusion: his ousting. His battles merely delayed the inevitable.
It looks like the working relationship between the deputy and president was no longer tenable. Personally, I thought those were issues that could be resolved. At the beginning, when these differences, when these differences are started, in my own opinion, as a leader, I thought the differences could be resolved. And that is why we thought involvement of the church, Wazee, and other stakeholders could resolve the differences, but between the deputy president and president. But unfortunately, it looks like it was, as they say in divorce proceedings, it was irretrievably broken down.
The Senate overwhelmingly voted to throw him out of Harambee House Annex.
The Senate has resolved to remove from office by impeachment His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, AGH, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Accordingly, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, AGH, ceases to hold office.
How did you vote? Yes or no?
It depends. There were 11 charges.
No, a number I voted no, a number I voted yes.
So, yeah, I just need one. Because to impeach the deputy
there were 11 grounds.
Yes, but for the deputy,
you need only one charge to pass.
So did you vote any of the charges? Yes.
That is why I'm saying there were 11 grounds to impeach the deputy president.
Yes.
Some I voted yes, some I voted no.
So in simple terms, you voted to impeach the deputy president?
At some grounds that were, because it looked like the relationship between him and the president was no longer tenable.
His Excellency, the President is handing over the Constitution to His Excellency, the Deputy President.
Interior CS Professor Kithure Kindiki, a loyal lieutenant of President William Ruto, will later take over as Deputy President. Gachagua has been left fighting to salvage the very little that was left out of his political career. My name is Enoch Sikolia, and I am the Kenyan historian.